Craig was here every year of those 18. We shared an office together, he and I, when I first got here, my first 3 years here. I'm going to say this later on tonight, but I think that, you know, the direction of what my path or career of my life would have possibly be different if it wasn't for Craig.
Yeah.
Meaning, we're sitting in the office, and I get a phone call to be an assistant coach at a team, NBA team, with the possibilities of taking over the head coach in 3 years. And he overhears the conversation, and this is my second year at Turner, and he goes, "Are you thinking about leaving?" And I was like, "Well, I'm just, listening, Craig, seeing what's going on." And he's the first person to actually just go, "You're good at this." And I looked, I said, "Good at what?" He's like, "You're good at what you do. Do you realize that this is your career?
Right.
This is your path?" And he's like, "It could change your life if you stay here." And I stayed.
He put it in perspective for you.
Put it in perspective. So difficult day for me. I understand what he meant to the, obviously to the fans around the world. And the other thing, he's the only guy that would he wouldn't allow you to give you that answer 101.
Right.
Like that,
None of the cliche stuff.
No, he wouldn't allow you to do it, from Shaq to, KG to, all of the guys you're seeing here. And I think that's what they appreciated most, because he was relentless in the truth. And that's what made Craig Saber who he was.
Well, we're going to hear from KG. He's going to join us in the studio in a couple of moments. Throughout the night, he'll be one of the voices here on NBATV, and later Kenny, as you mentioned, on TNT. You're going to hear about Craig Sager's impact, not just on basketball, but well beyond the court as well. We begin here at home with Turner president David Levy reflecting on Sager's 30-plus years with the company. Craig Sager was a beloved member of the Turner family for more than 3 decades, and he has been a true inspiration to all of us. There will never be another Craig Sager. His incredible talent, tireless work ethic, and commitment to his craft took him all over the world covering sports. While he will be remembered fondly for his colorful attire and the TNT sideline interviews he conducted with NBA coaches and players, it's the determination, grace, and will to live he displayed during his battle with cancer that will be his lasting impact. Our thoughts and prayers are with Craig's wife, Stacy, and the entire Sager family during this difficult time. We will forever be Sager strong. Here's the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver. I, along with the entire NBA family, are deeply saddened by the passing of Craig Sager. Craig was as vital to the NBA as the players and coaches, a true original, and an essential voice on Turner Sports NBA coverage for 26 seasons. Craig chronicled some of the most memorable moments in league history and was a ubiquitous presence with his splashy suits and equally colorful personality. Craig earned widespread respect for his insightful reporting and inspired so many, most recently with his courage. Our hearts go out to his wife Stacy, his children Casey, Craig Jr., Krista, Riley, and Brian, and his friends and colleagues. The commissioner also announced that NBA teams will be observing a moment of silence at all arenas. Well, tonight, Dennis Scott has the role of sideline reporter in Milwaukee for TNT's coverage of the Bucks and Bulls. 3D, kind of hard to think about hoops tonight.
It really is, Jared. Like all the things that most people have said around the country, Craig Saber touched you in so many ways. And I remember when I first came to Atlanta in 1987 to go to Georgia Tech, Craig Saber was one of the first people that came over and greeted me and talked about how he had heard about me playing in high school and that I could come in and help change Georgia Tech around. Mm-hmm. And knowing that he was a Georgia Bulldog fan. So we used to go back and forth with that little rivalry in Georgia. So Craig is going to be sorely missed, Jared. Like Kenny said, he was one of those first people when I was retiring from the game. I wanted to go into coaching. I wanted to go into broadcast. And he said, "Hey, you had your own TV show. You got your feet wet. Come on and dive into it and do what you do." So it's going to be sorely missed, and so many stories, so many laughs, so many things at the all-star games and the things of that nature. I mean, we can go on for days, but more importantly, it's the energy. Every time you saw Craig Sager, he was always happy, he was always energized, and always good to see you.
Dennis, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone else, but before Craig, I don't think I knew the name of any sideline reporter. I didn't know the name of them. I'd be like, oh, that's the guy. That's that guy over there. But I didn't know the name of any sideline reporter. And then what he did for sideline reporting is made it fashionable. And he made people pay attention to it, which now we know the names of others that are on the sideline now. But before him, Dennis, did you know any guy's name of who did sideline?
No, that's a great question. I have to go all the way back, Kenny, and tell our age. Back when CBS used to have Pat O'Brien, maybe he would do a little sideline and made it, cool. But Craig Saber made it that you wanted to do it. Like us as ex-players, some guys want to be in the studio like you and Charles and Shaq. I want to do sideline. I don't mind being in the studio, but Craig made sideline cool, to put the nice suit on. I have on my alligator shoes tonight because of Craig Saber. So all those things that you're talking about, Kenny, Craig Saber made the sideline cool.
And just so, for me also, we know him from the sideline, but he also, when in the meager days of Turner, when it was just myself and Ernie at the desk, there was no Charles Barkley yet, there was no Emmys, all of those things, and Craig was the sideline guy, but he also would do the stories. So he was the guy who would also do stories prior to the game. So all of the information about a city, or these unique stories about the popcorn vendor who has been there for 25 years, he would do all of those stories that kind of intrigued you and brought you into a world what TMZ now does for a living. So he brought you into a world that you've never seen. And the only unfortunate thing about death, it brings reflection when that reflection could be done earlier. And I think that's what we'll miss about Craig, is a reflection now. And as we talk about him, it gets harder and harder, D. Scott, harder and harder.
It does, Kenny, because like you're saying, when you've been around someone that's a family member, and people say, why do you say that? Because when you work with somebody so long, they become family. I remember when my mom was sick. Craig was one of the first people to call and say, hey, how's your mom doing? I'm like, how'd you know? He said, come on, 3, this is Craig. I know about everything. So things like that, you think that your colleague, someone you work with on a day-to-day basis, may not be caring about you and your family. Craig is one of those guys.
Dennis, it'll be great to hear some more stories during your broadcast tonight, coming up at 8 Eastern with the Bulls and Bucks. Thanks for joining us tonight from Milwaukee.
No problem, guys.
Well, clearly, Craig Saber had a unique relationship with many people around the league, but none more famous than the one that he had with, believe it or not, his good buddy, Greg Popovich.
Well, Coach, with the regular season around the corner.
This is the preseason, right? We got to do this in the preseason? Are you kidding me?
Part of the
contract. In the preseason, we got to do this? Well, the preseason?
We have to rehearse to get ready. I need the practice.
God, okay.
What was your biggest challenge during this preseason?
Oh, my gosh. Getting to the restaurant on time.